Wow. What's up, YouTube? Today is our Top Tier Tuesdays. Topic of discussion today are our top 5 80s action movie villains. Should be a good list.
It'll be fun. We love 80s action movies, so...
Yeah, and we like the fact that 80s action movie style has started coming back in the 2000s.
We can thank the Expendables for that.
Yeah. Expendables and Rambo 4.
Oh, Rambo 4. That's a series of review I'm ready for.
Right? So, we're going to do our top 5 action movie villains. You want me to lead it off, or do you want to lead it off? I'll lead it off. My number 5 is from that classic Conan. And his name is Thulsa Doom, played by... why do I forget his name now? James Earl Jones.
James Earl... How did you forget James Earl Jones?
I don't know. I've had a little bit to drink today. He says as he drinks more.
Good for you.
But yes, Thulsa Doom. The Conan movie is phenomenal. We're talking about the first Conan movie, obviously, because of Thulsa Doom. James Earl Jones' voice is just iconic. And he does so well in that movie as a villain. He's
Darth Vader, bro.
I know. You don't have to tell me twice.
Doesn't get more iconic than that.
Pretty much. And give it a watch if you haven't. Of course, if you haven't by now, what are you doing? Like, really?
I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch our show that haven't watched that movie.
Watch the movie or I'll find you and not give you booze.
Alright, my number 5. My number 5 is the Duke of New York from Escape from New York.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Escape from New York is one of my favorite Kurt Russell movies, honestly. But the Duke of New York, Isaac Hayes, like...
He's the man.
He is the man.
Like, you put Isaac Hayes on, you put his music on when you're ready to get busy, like, mount, chicka, mount, mount.
He is the chef from South Park.
He is. Chocolate salty balls.
Say, everybody haven't seen my balls. They're big and salty and
brown. He walked away from
brown.
that because he was offended or some shit. I think he stopped doing the voice.
No, he died.
No, before that.
Did he? I didn't think he walked away from it.
I think he did. I'm aware that he died.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. That could just be, like, maybe I'm confusing that with something else, but I'm pretty sure it's that. I'm pretty sure he walked away from being the chef because of being offended by something or another.
I'm fairly certain that once he starts editing the video, if he's wrong, it'll say something like right here.
Maybe.
That he's wrong.
It might do that. It is a trend for us.
That's what happens when you're alcoholics.
But anyway, Duke of New York, fucking badass. Perfect spot for number 5. Love the Duke of New York.
Oh yeah. And we're moving right along to my number 4. We're talking Sheriff Teasel from First Blood, played by Brian Dennehy.
Dude, First Blood, the first Rambo movie, man.
It's a phenomenal movie.
He's fucking... Sylvester Stallone is jacked in that movie, but fucking Sheriff, great part.
Oh yeah, and Brian Dennehy does so well with it, especially since, like, most of the roles that I know Brian Dennehy from, he doesn't play a villain. He's always playing like a nice guy, so to speak. And this was, when I first saw that was a completely different Dennehy that I was used to.
It's just him representing cops all over the world.
Really?
We'll take care of that in post-edit.
So anyway, the movie is fantastic. It's probably the second best Rambo film.
Yeah, it'd be my second, probably my second favorite.
But that's part of a different list.
Yeah, we'll do that list eventually.
Eventually. And that's my number 4. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Brad Wesley from Roadhouse.
Oh, I love Roadhouse.
Roadhouse was a movie of my childhood that I probably watched 30 plus times. It's not really a children's movie, but...
I don't care. It was a great movie. I watched it a lot.
And Brad Wesley is just that annoying fucking piece of shit asshole that you can't fucking stand.
And he's got crazy eyes.
And
he's like if a serial killer grew up to be a grandfather. Like if Ted Bundy grew up and had kids and turned into a grandfather, that's what this guy looks like. Because Ted Bundy didn't look malicious.
But Brad Wesley, he looks evil to me. Like, even though he's got that, like, old man vibe, he just played... Like, that part, he was made to play that part.
He did
He's perfect in that role. perfect in that role. That's why it's my number 4.
It's a phenomenal flick. And one of Patrick Swayze's best movies.
It's right up there. It's right up there. And Patrick Swayze is one of my favorite actors of all time.
He's up there. But we're moving right along. We're going to go to my number 3, which is Joker from 1989 Batman.
That definitely belongs on the list.
Jack Nicholson, Jack Nicholson is a great actor, but in this movie he just chewed the scenery, man. He just walked around like he was big shit on campus. He came out with such great like where does he get those wonderful toys? And I've given a name to my pain. And
the pen is truly mightier than the sword.
I know, it's phenomenal.
Like the prosthetic for his mouth, like everything about him was great in that movie.
Yes, there's nothing wrong, and he probably has what I would consider legitimately the most creepy Joker moment, and that's where he just kills Grisham, and he sits there at his desk and he wipes the blood off a newspaper. Winged menace terrorizes city. Wait till they get a load of me. I love it. Goosebumps. Goosebumps now. I love that little scene right there. And then he just sort of finishes up by going, ooh, ooh. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking terrorizing me. Stop. Flash. Oh, I love that moment.
Honestly, his Joker portrayal is so good. And it's so comic. Honestly, those 2 Batman movies are like the most comic booky movies I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tim Burton and Michael Keaton really worked out well with those 2 flicks. And they had good villains, like Danny DeVito as Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. And the guy who played Shrek.
What?
Max Shrek.
Oh, yeah. Christopher Walken, man.
Man, Christopher Walken.
God, Christopher Walken almost belongs on this list. That part was great.
It was phenomenal.
He was psychotic.
Well, that wasn't in the 80s, so he can't. You can put it in the 90s list.
Yeah.
He'd probably be in the 90s list.
Maybe that'll happen.
Maybe it'll happen. But anyway, that's my number 3. What's yours?
My number 3 is the T-800, the Terminator.
Ooh. That's a great choice.
It's one of the most iconic choices of all time.
I know. Terminator was like a game changer for movies in the early 80s.
Dude, I know it's was originally classified as like a horror movie, but god damn, it's so good. Like building up. Now that we've seen like Terminator 2, since then,
it was great. There was good action. Arnold and Michael Biehn. Is it Biehn?
I think it's Bean.
Is it Michael Biehn? I don't know. Those two, they do really well off of each other.
Dude,
there wasn't very many scenes of them actually with each other, and there's actually some great stories about the movie too, about how they basically filmed guerrilla style because they didn't have the okay from the city of Los Angeles to film.
Well, Michael Bihn's an underrated actor, if you ask me as well.
Him and Jeff Fahey.
Dude, both of them.
Yep.
Jeff Fahey's. We'll talk about that some other video.
But yeah, that's a phenomenal choice as a villain. I can't argue with it.
Yeah. T-800 belongs on the list.
Now we're moving on to my number 2, which for me is Brad Wesley from Roadhouse.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to make a top 5 list without him on there.
Yeah.
As far as 80s action movies go, because Roadhouse is that iconic and just a staple of 80s action movies.
It really is. It's like, I can understand if people haven't heard of it because it wasn't a huge film.
Yeah, but Patrick Swayze became a huge star after.
Yeah, well, I mean, that and Red Dawn, he was already doing fairly well. I mean,
well, Red Dawn wasn't what Dirty Dancing kind of catapulted him.
It did. Dirty Dancing was a big thing for him. But anyway, yeah, Brad Wesley from Roadhouse. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is the Joker.
You can't argue with it. It's phenomenal.
It just belongs on the list.
Yep. And then our number 1, we both have the same number 1.
Which should be everyone's fucking number 1.
Is Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
Best villain of the 80s. Period.
Alan Rickman just kills it. Just destroys it. He is legitimately terrifying in scenes, but also has those moments of where he seems completely jovial and friendly and like it's weird. There's only one problem with the movie. him in the movie specifically, there's a moment where he does an American accent. His American accent is terrible.
Yeah, when he's pretending to be just another survivor or another, what is it, hostage, I guess.
Don't kill me, please!
But
No, please! Don't kill me!
outside of
That
that,
accent is awful, actually. Man, I'm glad we took a moment to talk about that, because it is so fucking bad. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman, but...
like, I've heard him do American accents after that, and he does fairly well with it afterwards. But this was, I believe, one of his first primary roles. He had a couple of
his first primary role.
Yeah, he had a couple of smaller bit parts before that.
Because he did musical theater a lot before that.
Yep.
Or not even musical theater, just theater in general, but...
But this was his it was his breakthrough into the mainstream.
I think it was his first American role, actually.
I think it was his first American role.
So...
yeah.
But it was fucking badass, and it was a gamble for the company to do that, and they did it, and it fucking worked out because he is the best 80s action villain.
Now, also another little tidbit, the moment where he falls from Nakatomi, because it's not Christmas.
Until he falls from Nakatomi Tower.
The moment where they undo the watch clasp to where he falls, he thought that there was a rope, like a harness, that was going to catch him. So you see that look of pure panic on his face. That's because they gave that harness extra slack that he didn't know about. So when he started dropping further, he was not prepared for that. And he had a pure look of terror thinking that the harness failed.
That's just good direction.
Who was the director on that one? McTiernan? John McTiernan?
Yes, McTiernan.
He must have like taken directing lessons from Stanley Kubrick.
It was good. It was good.
It was good. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Hans Gruber forever, man.
Hans Gruber forever. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. Oh, I miss that man. No homo.
And that's it for Top Tier Tuesday today.
This has been your daily dose of
PCP.
We'll see you tomorrow.